There we go. Can you guys hear me now? Sorry about that. Oh gosh. Let me start over. I was saying if I look this way, that's where my monitor is, that's where my chat is. So if I'm looking over here, that's what I'm doing. All right, let's get into the critiques. I was saying I'm sorry I'm late, all that stuff. I got 2 submissions in the last hour and I didn't download them. So if I can squeeze them in at the end and if I can download the photos on my internet, usually my internet's kind of crappy when I'm streaming. It's hard for me to do anything else. So I'll try to squeeze them in if I can. If not, I'll just put them to the next critique 130. So what's going on, everybody? Brickatech, Jeremy, Dorothy, Tomcat, Matthias, Amanda, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for waiting. Sorry I'm late. Let's get into this. So this is the first one. As we can see here, this is the reference photo that they painted from. I believe this is acrylics, if I'm not mistaken. It's hard for me to remember what everybody said in their email. I don't really, you know, there's a lot notes to take down and stuff, and I just don't have the time to do that, unfortunately. So I think this one's really good. I guess we could start now. We'll do like a 3-minute thing, maybe 3 to 4 minutes. We'll do 3.5 minutes. So I think this one's really nice. I think the drawing is great. It looks like you kind of had to make up some of the top because it's cropped. So I think that you did it pretty well. It might have been cool to have some more feathers kind of sticking out at the top because it looks like it's pretty flared out here at the top. So maybe adding some of that, kind of like those ruffled feathers, like he's all ruffled up. What do you guys think of this one? I think we're missing, you know, obviously just glancing at the photos here, you know, the thumbnail, this one has a lot more yellow overall in the entire photo. You know, at the top of the head, it's literally yellow with just a little bit of green in there. A lot of yellow here. We're kind of missing yellow in this, at least from the photograph. Maybe it's more yellow in person, but I don't see that. I feel like we're missing a lot of yellow in the mixtures here. Because overall, there's kind of this envelope, this atmosphere of yellow over the whole thing, right? Now, you could choose not to do that, of course. You're not going to be able to match the colors perfectly anyway, because these colors are very strong, very saturated. It's just different than pigment. You know, you're not going to be able to match those bright colors, but you could at least get more of yellows in here, more golden look to everything. I think like I said, the drawing's done really well. I like the texture and the feathers. I would be careful with the black here, because it kind of cools everything down. Kind of, it's kind of a dead color, so to speak. So we just need some like warmth in there. I think overall we need more warmth. You know, if we look in here in these feathers, right around here, there's more red and yellows actually, and browns, like warmth. You know, there's only a little bit of black, really, really dark. You know, the beak, just in some areas, is really, really dark. But everywhere else, it's a little bit lighter. So you seem to have that a little bit. So yeah, just, you know, minor things like that. But otherwise, it's not too bad. Like I said, great drawing. The edges look pretty nice overall. You know, it looks like we're getting some softness and stuff. It's not too harsh. A lot of great texture. Matthias did send me something, but I think it was in the last hour. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to it, but we'll see. How do you pronounce the channel's name? This is Schaefer Art. Schaefer Art. Contrast. Okay, so Cubs Win says contrast. Yeah, it is. I agree. I think you're right. Maybe it is missing that bit of contrast. It could just be the photograph, obviously. It's hard to tell. You know, maybe this bird could be a bit darker. Some of the feathers and stuff a little more dark. But I think overall, it's not the dark that's missing, it's the light. It's like the light areas and the yellows. I think if we added in more brights, more yellows, more warmth overall, I think we'd get that contrast that it's kind of looking for. Cubs win. You know what I mean? Yeah, it almost seems, I know this may not be the case, but it almost seems like they're using a green straight from the tube or something. So yeah, maybe mixing your greens a little bit more, adding some more yellows in there. Because there are some cooler parts of it right here, you know, there's cooler greens up here. But going from this warm light to the cooler shadows, I think that'd have a really nice effect. It's a little bit of warm reflected light here, warmth down here. Look at this brown down here. I mean, this is almost brownish yellow right down here. And if we look in this photo, it's very cold. Everything is very cold in this photo. So I don't know if it's just the photograph itself, but it seems like the painting is just a little cold overall. So color temperature, that's what we work on. That's the main item here, color temperature. And maybe just a little more darks around the eye. You know, if we look in here, it's pretty dark in here. Pretty dark around this area. So just kind of darkening that up and maybe lightening up this area, like I said, on the bird. Just needs more contrast. More color temperature contrast. Anyway, let's go to the next one. I think this is an acrylic painting as well. We'll start the timer. We got the timer going, folks. 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes. Let's do it. So I really like the mood of this one. I think, let's zoom in a bit. So it has a nice mood. I like the colors overall. I like the mistiness here we got going on. I mean, there's a lot of cool techniques happening in this one. What do you guys think about this one? I like that, you know, this is kind of dead center, this mountain, you know, as far as placement of the point. It's kind of dead center, which is not, I mean, it's not too bad because we have this waterfall kind of off center, so that's kind of nice. It's good to have something that just draws our attention around the painting rather than this just being, you know, if we were to crop this thing, if it's only the mountain and the mountain's dead center, it's kind of boring. But the fact that this waterfall is kind of off center, I like that. The rocks are done pretty nicely. A lot of nice shapes over here, definitely. I struggle with rocks myself, so I know how difficult it is. But there's a lot of nice rendering going on here. The trees look really well done. I feel like, once again, we need some more warmth here on these trees. These are all very cool greens. You know, there's really, I forgot the guy's name. There's an artist who wrote a book. I used to have the book. I think I got rid of it, but it was about color and painting. Old artist. Emile Groupe, or Group. He wrote a book about painting and color for oil painting. And one of the things he said is that red, usually we're missing, when we do landscape painting and painting from life, usually red is missing. And I think in this we have some, like, and I think what he means by that is like the red within our mixtures, you know, these warmths kind of warming things up. You know, yellow could be a part of that as well, orangish, yellow, reds. You know, I think we're missing some like red, brown tones to these trees. If you look out in nature, man, trees aren't just like green. You know, there's browns in there, there's dead pine needles and branches and browns and warms and yellow greens and all kinds of stuff. And we have a lot of light, which seems, this one almost seems like it's off the top of your head, which is kind of cool. I love the sky. I think the sky is really cool. But the problem with it is it's hard to determine where the light's coming from and what is being lit up. You know, this mountain definitely looks like there's light on it and shadow, but I don't see light and shadow anywhere else really. You know, maybe a little bit of light on these rocks, but it doesn't look like there's enough shadows here to really give us that effect of light and shadow. there needs to be more shadowing. You know, if this is in light, this waterfall, then we need more shadowing. You know, we need more purples and blues on this shadowing. Yeah, I don't know if highlights are missing. I think light is missing. You know, I think overall light is missing here. You know, it seems like we got some good shadows and stuff in here somewhere, but I feel like light is missing. We're missing shadowing on this. I mean, there is some shadows in there, of course, but I think you only have like small shadows. You know, I think we need big blocks of shadow to really, because this looks so flat. And maybe waterfalls are, I mean, they do have, you know, this water is coming off, and especially down towards the middle and stuff. This will be coming at us. So it'd be getting lit up a lot. Yeah, I think we just, and maybe some softer edges and stuff around here in the water at the bottom. Everything is very hard. Everything is very sharp. See how sharp these edges are here and over here? I think we need to soften some of this, especially towards the bottom. You know, this should all be soft, really misty, soft. Softness around these rocks. You know, it should be some softer edges contrasting against these harder edges. I mean, you do have some mistiness and some softness everywhere, but yeah, I think we just need a little bit more there. But overall, it's a good effort. I mean, it's definitely a good effort. You have, I think all the things here are fixable. You know, I think you can paint some more light on these trees. You know, if you want this kind of lighting on the mountain, then you need light everywhere else. Light on these rocks, light on this waterfall, light over here on these rocks. You know, I like the shadowing done over here on this corner, this side. So we need to bring some of this shadowing over on this side. Yeah, I think it just needs a little more continuity with the lighting. Anyway, let's get into the next one. This one is colored pencil with pen, I believe, if I remember that correctly. We'll put the timer on. Boom. The reason I use a timer is I just want to get through all these, just so that I want to be consistent with, you know, the amount of time I'm giving everybody's piece. So this one's colored pencil and pen. You guys know how I feel about colored pencil, most of you. Not really my thing. I don't really like colored pencil, to be honest. But I do appreciate people that can use it, you know, of course. I think there's some beautiful things you can do with it. I really like this. I think it's cool. I like the simplicity of leaving the white, the simplicity of the background, the dark. Yeah, I'm just trying to think. What do you guys think about this one? I'd love to hear what you think. To me, it would be. It looks slightly flat in some areas, which is okay. It's not a big deal. And maybe that's kind of the style you're going for, but I feel like if we had some really strong lighting just on the face, and then maybe these, like the hair over here and the hair on this side as well, you know, over here and over here, I think we could really soften all that up and add some of the background on top of that, and it would really create more form, more roundness to this whole thing, and start fading the areas that are turning back behind. It would, you know, fade them into the background a bit. Yami says that she likes the highlights in the eyes and the lip. Yeah, I agree. You got some nice subtle highlights there. You know, I think the structure is done really well. Definitely looks like the Grinch. Shading by the wrinkles. You know, I like all the shading that's already done. I mean, I think there's a lot of good things going on here with the hair. You know, I like the fuzzy softness up here, this eyebrow, if you guys can see that. I mean, there's a lot of really great work done in this thing. You know, I like the shading here. I just think it could be pushed a little bit more in terms of lighting, just to make it a little more dynamic, a little more interesting. But overall, I mean, it's not a bad drawing at all. I'm just putting my perspective onto it, of like a realism type of perspective. And I think, like, if you wanted, and maybe it's not your style. Maybe you don't want it to be super realistic or anything like that. And I'm not saying you have to make it very, very realistic, but I think maybe just softening some edges in some places, you know, kind of like you did up here where it's kind of feathery, kind of doing that same thing with the hair and maybe just darkening more. Like, don't be afraid to go too dark, you know, but I think if this was just more of a darker green and this was a darker green, it would just round the face a little bit more. And it would show that this stuff is kind of fading into the background a bit. But I do like the style, you know, I like how the white is all just left white. I almost said like it'd be interesting, it'd be nice to have some shadows on this, like even just subtle, soft shadows on some of the light areas. But I kind of like that it's very graphic almost, you know. It's very, yeah, it's a cool style. It's definitely a cool style. But great work, man. Great work. Yeah, stick with it. I mean, just try to take those small things I told you, just push the darks and try to think about the light. Where's the light coming from? And see if you can create more of a light effect if that's something you're interested in trying out, you know. Like if the light's coming from up over here, like out of the picture coming down, you know, all of this would be in shadow behind his chin. You know, this part down here, and then this would all be in shadow. You know, there's things you could do to just push the lighting a bit more, maybe, if that's something you're interested in trying out. But other than that, it's really great work. So we have two here I'm going to do real quick. These are from Nathan. I think he said he won't be able to join today because he's working, but he always does some really great watercolors, really detailed watercolors that he spends many hours on. But these, I think he said he spent 45 minutes on this one, I believe, and 1 or 2 hours on this one, something like that. So not a lot of time. And these are smaller. These are 4x6 and 5x7, I believe. Normally he spends like 50 hours or 20 hours on drawings and stuff, or watercolors. So this is interesting to see something from him a lot quicker. And it still looks really nice quality, as normal. Glad to hear that, Esther Green. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining. Yeah, man, we're trying to just learn a lot, you know. We try to look at other people's art and just see what would we improve if we did this ourselves, you know. And so these are pretty cool. These are kind of a Christmas card. Look like we've got some glittery kind of stuff on the pine cones here. That's pretty interesting. Gives a nice little effect, kind of Christmas cardy, of course. So that's kind of cool. Normally I'm not really a fan of glitter. When I was in college, and I went to college for graphic design, and a lot of the projects they banned, you couldn't use glitter on any of your projects because they called glitter the herpes of art materials, because like once you get glitter somewhere, like on the floor or on a table or something, like it's so hard to get rid of, like you just can't get rid of it. So that was always a funny joke that they would make. But other than that, if I just look at it as a painting, I really like it. I like the softness, the subtlety in the background. I like the contrast here for the pine cones and stuff. You know, it's just very simple. It's interesting that he did two objects in a composition like this. You know, normally they say you want to have at least 3 objects or an odd number of objects. Yeah, I agree, Brickatech fan. I agree. He should do some time lapse of his paintings and stuff, but it would be so much footage, like 30 hours of footage. Anyway, yeah, it's interesting that he only did 2 objects and they're both almost the same size, you know. It's an interesting kind of composition, you know. He offset them. He didn't put anything in the center, so it still kind of works, but you know, I'm not sure. And this kind of helps to balance, this little background here kind of helps to balance these 2 objects on this side. Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about 2. I mean, it's not bad. It's just, yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that. This one, obviously, I love this one. I love the detail. It's kind of a close-up of poinsettia. I don't know how you say that word, but whatever. Yeah, I love how the green just kind of gives you a break, a rest from all this red. Yeah, it's really cool. Really great detail, and all the contrast is right around here. I think that's really cool. I like the subtlety on the leaves. And it looks like there's like some purple in here, very subtle kind of purpley reds here of reflected light. So he's good with getting really subtle things and a little bit of highlights here. Looks like some thick gouache or something. Yeah, definitely some thicker gouache. You know, look at the detail on that, just very small. I mean, it looks very realistic. It's really cool. I don't have the patience to do that kind of stuff. I kind of would just, you guys know me, I'd be splattering everywhere on this thing and wanting more texture and stuff, but yeah, I really like this. I really like this. Painting with red is very difficult, so I think he did this very well, very masterfully done, I think. And it's an interesting composition, you know, a little off center, which is good. And like I said, this kind of yellowish green gives us a break from all this purpley red. You know, very nice use of color complements. Yeah, really great. I mean, when you shrink it down, I mean, it looks very realistic, so yeah, I think he nailed it on that one. Anyway, let's go to the next one here. I think these are pine cones, Candy. I mean, they have the structure of a pine cone. That's what I'm seeing. Right? Doesn't everybody else see that? I mean, this definitely looks like a pine cone to me. Like a white, you know, they make like white pine cones. It doesn't look like a tree to me. I could be wrong. He's not here to defend himself, but let's see. He did name it. Yeah, here we go at the top, guys. Can you guys see this? Probably not. At the top, he named it Sparkling Pine Cones. So there you go. That no contest anymore. So this is the next one. Start the timer. Boom, let's go. So this is some really great line work. I love this. This is some really good line work. The way you shaded this thing and did the line work. It looks like pen. If I have to guess, it looks like pen line work and then shaded pencil. You know, some subtle shading and stuff. Yeah, I really like this. This is done really well. I like the whole narrative of what's happening here. Looks like somebody's about to die. Two people are about to die from a knife. It's very interesting. Very interesting. This face here, I'm kind of interested with this face of what's happening here, because it kind of looks manly. I think the chin, like, it seems very manly, but I see that, you know, it's a woman, obviously, from what we're looking at here, but the face looks a little manly to me. That's just personal opinion, but maybe it's supposed to be a more manly woman that's about to kill this guy. I love how you did like the overlapping of the trees and everything. I like the whole style here. You know, the smaller, you used size to give us an idea of depth. So these smaller trees as they go far back, and then this tree over here is very big. So that's kind of a backdrop for what's happening here. I love how we kind of have this triangular composition for their faces, and this point of interest here. I feel like I would love to see this thing like digitally colored. Yeah, I would love to see this thing digitally colored or something. Oh, there's a sword drop down over here too. Yeah, I love the little bit, you know, it's not overly detailed, which is really cool, but there's just these little things that I didn't even see at first glance. You know, they dropped their long sword here. They're about to get killed with this dagger. You know, there's just these small little, you know, little pendant there. There's obviously a story going on here. but it's not overly killed with details. You know, look at this tree. It's very bare, actually, this whole tree, because it actually gives us a place to rest. You know, everything else has all these branches. There's a lot going on here, especially down here, of what this guy's wearing. But then this tree gives us a place to rest. So this is really cool. I mean, I feel like if this was like a cover to something, like you could put the title here in like a little square thing or something. You know, this is really cool. I really like this. Like I said, I would just want to see this colored in like more contrast, more darkness in the background, and like more lighting, very contrasty. But the way that it's done now is really cool. I mean, I feel like it's a great start to something. I think it's a great jumping off point to go deeper into something, but just by itself, it's a nice piece of art. You know, all the proportions look really nice. There's nothing I can... I like that your trees are going at all different angles. That's pretty realistic. You know, you made things realistic or convincing without being overly realistic, you know. Everything is, you did the way you did the line work, everything's very sharp and stuff. It's a cool style. It's a really cool style. I feel like this is a personal preference for me. I would like to see some of the lines be a little bit thicker in some places, you know, just to give more interest. You know, some of the lines, it gets kind of monotonous with the width of the line work. But like I said, that's just completely personal preference for me. But I would like to just see more like thickness in some areas, to kind of draw our attention a little more to something, you know. But that's just me. But otherwise, I think it's great, man. Thanks for sending that in. Really cool. Keep up the good work. Everyone should keep up the great work. Yeah, I don't know what the reference was for that one. I don't know if somebody's here that did that one, if they could say, that'd be interesting to hear. Does the tree at the front need more detail compared to the background? That's a good question. So does the tree at the front need more detail than these trees back here? It depends. I mean, maybe just a few more darker lines or something, but I think you don't want to take away from all this action that's going on, and it's nice to have somewhere for our eyes to rest. It really balances out all this line work, all this stuff going on is balanced by these like more plain trees and stuff. That's how I see it, but you know, you have an argument there. So this is the next one. Start the timer. Actually, pause the timer. I'm gonna get some water real quick. Okay, all right. I'm just talking a lot today for this one, so just gotta catch my breath here. Oil pastels? I'm not sure what this one is. It definitely looks like oil pastels. I don't know if they said in the email or not. I can't remember. Yeah, the last one is definitely a cool, like, comic book style. Watercolor? This one's watercolor? Yeah, it looks like oil pastels. I mean, it doesn't really matter what it is, but anyway, let's get on. Let's get to the... Boom, we'll resume the timer. Here we go. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what kind of medium they use. You know, we just look at it for what it is. It's just an image. I love the perspective here. You know, this is very convincing perspective. You know, this thing over here, this art on the wall, like all this art on the wall. I mean, definitely gives the idea of perspective and depth. It looks very realistic in most parts of it, actually. Yeah, there's a lot of realism going on here, actually. I like that in some places there's softness. You know, the road's pretty soft. There's areas here that's soft, over here. So we do have some interesting soft and hard contrast. I feel like back here we start to lose some of the realism. You know, this tree back here, I don't think you need all the branches and detail like that. I think it should just be a big soft mass of color, of value. Same thing with some of these power lines. I think that could be all just kind of simplified. I mean, these aren't that bad. It's not bad, but I feel like simplifying back here, you know, because I'm focused, you know, I feel like the focal point is really like these colorful walls and stuff, you know. We don't want to be distracted by a tree back here and stuff. You know, you're leading us back into this painting or scene. Part of me is wondering, like, what's the focal point here? But part of me loves, I love the perspective of it, and it makes you feel like you're standing there looking down this alleyway. I think some of these dumpsters here too, they lose a little bit of realism in some areas, but they're not too bad actually. The more I'm looking at it, I kind of like it. You know, you got a nice use of values, nice use of color, not too saturated, not too crazy. You know, the way you redid all this art, I mean, it's really cool. It's really cool, all the graffiti. Oh, sorry folks. Maybe we're getting a little too dark in some of the areas on the road. It gets a little distracting. You know, particularly like right here, there's just a lot of contrast there. And just be careful with that. Obviously there's some kind of separation here, like some kind of sidewalk or something against the road, but yeah, just be careful with some of the darks. You know, up towards us is okay when it gets close to us, but you know, just be aware of the contrast there. What do you guys think? Yeah, I like the curve that it has in the road, a real subtle curve. I feel like we may have a slight perspective issue here. You know, just with the top of this building. It's hard to tell though. Depends on the building itself. But other than that, the perspective is pretty nice. You know, obviously the focal or the vanishing point's back here somewhere. Yeah, I feel like this should just be pointed more downward. But other than that, I mean, it's really great. It's really great. You use a lot of grayish type of tones and everything. Looks very natural. Yeah, the graffiti is done really well. I mean, part of this looks like a photograph. It just looks like... I almost forget that it's like some kind of art that you actually drew it in perspective like that. It's really cool. Yeah, good point. Cubs win. They say really draws your eyes into the painting. You know, exactly. SFS Eagle says they thought it was a digital drawing for a second until you looked at the edge of the drawing here. You can see it's in some kind of sketchbook. So, yeah, I agree. It's done really well. Thanks for sending that in. Keep up the great work, no doubt. You know, even if there's not a lot to correct with these, it's still good to see like what works, what maybe isn't working, what could be changed. You know, it's always great to just learn and see other people's stuff. That's a good point. Let's pause the timer. Let's reset the timer here. Somebody asks, Hambly asks, does it need something or someone else, like a cat or dog, in the scene? Yeah, it could potentially. That could actually give us a focal point. If there was a person back here, this is just an idea. If there was a person standing back here painting on graffiti, that would really change the whole story of this painting, right? If there was a little figure back here actually spraying graffiti or writing some graffiti, or even up closer to us or something, or maybe this garage, somebody was starting to open this garage or something, like just add a little more mystery or something into the painting. But either way, without a person or without something, it's still very nice, So here we have a pin sketch. Man, I would not have the patience for this. Let's start the timer. Yeah, this really takes a lot of patience to draw something like this, man. All those little squigglies and all those leaves and everything. Oh, sorry, folks. Excuse me. I think this is done really well, especially like this background tree in this area particularly. It looks very natural, the way you did it. Trying to figure out what's going on here. It looks like this is in shadow in the foreground, and then there's light back here. What confuses me, if that's the case, I don't know that it is, I'm just guessing, of course. I'm going by what I'm seeing here, I'm going by the values. I feel like this tree would be much darker. It would have a lot more shadowing. And I think, to be honest, I think having this tree be much darker would give us a nice contrast against this whole white background. Most trees, it depends on the type of tree and what the actual scene looked like and what you're going for. I don't know who the artist is, to be honest, about this one. That's a very good point. Cubs win. That's a really good observation. Cubs win says it might be better if the shadow area was not straight. So I think what they mean by that is if there was an angle to it, And I agree. Because angles, different angles create movement in a scene. When we think of a scene that has nothing but horizontals, mostly, it's very quiet, subdued, there's not a lot of movement. But when you see something with a lot of angles, a lot of curves and stuff going on, it has a lot of movement. So, yeah, I'll zoom in a bit here. Sorry, folks. It's a vertical, so it's hard to see what's going on. So, a lot of the detail is just these squiggly lines, it's not actual detail. Yeah, the background trees are really great. I feel like I would want, just for compositional purposes, I would want this foreground tree to be darker so that it stands out, it contrasts against all this light background. That's just a personal preference for me. And maybe you could have part of the top of it become lighter and lighter, like it's getting hit with light on some areas. And then you can make you do have some shadowing here on the tree already. So just increasing that shadowing and then increasing the value of the whole tree would really make it pop for me, I think. Yeah, and I agree with Cubs win, maybe having some kind of diagonal shadow rather than the straight across. Other than that, I like the line work, I like the squiggliness, I like the style. It's very cool. The trees look very natural for the most part. It looks like you drew this from a photograph or something for sure. It looks like it's from life a bit. Yeah, I think compositionally, yeah, I agree, Matthias, I would not have the patience. I think compositionally, you know, just having this tree be darker, really standing out amongst this kind of very light area, I think that would be really nice. Yeah, that's a good point too. Maybe birds or flowers in this scene. But yeah, you're right. It probably would take away from what's already going on. There's already a lot going on here. So, but anyway, thanks for sending this in. I think you're on the right track. I think just keep going, keep drawing, have fun, stay patient, and yeah, keep doing it. Keep doing it. You're doing it. You're doing pretty well. Just try to, you know, if you're using photographs or drawing this from life, you know, try to tweak things if you can. You know, if you think about it at the time you're doing it and you feel like you could improve the composition somehow by putting a more diagonal, just slightly more diagonal shadow in there, or darkening this tree a bit so that it stands out as the focal point against the, you know, the contrast of the background, then, you know, don't be afraid to change that. So here's the painting, and here is the reference photo. Pretty cool, very, very cool painting. So I believe this one is acrylic from Rita, it looks like. I believe we saw them in here earlier, commenting. Yeah, no worries, Pamela. Yours was the first critique that we did, those parrots, those birds. Yeah, just focus on the color temperature. That's really the main thing that I saw wrong with it. Just not wrong with it, but an area that you could improve, you know, a little bit. Try to focus more on warms and cools, you know. Yeah, and have some fun with it. Have fun, man. I hope it goes well. Really great work, great drawing, great, you know, great rendering. You got the texture nice. It's just work on that color temperature a little bit, and I'm sure you'll improve. Just take some time. But yeah, this is done really well. The hair is done. I mean, this is pretty good. This is pretty darn good, no doubt. So thanks for sending this in. I like the rendering of it and everything. I like the fur, the hair, textures. Just trying to. Oh, excuse me, folks. Sorry, I don't know why I'm yawning so much. I'm just trying to take a look here, see what we could. Come on, buddy. Just trying to take a look at what we could do here. Did I already start the timer? Let's start the timer now. Okay. What do you guys think of this one? So everybody's saying they love the hair and the fur. It's pretty realistic. Cam asks, can you please draw a German Shepherd one day, please? Sure, I could try to do that. Yeah, I think this is done really well. I think this is a lot of nice details without being too detailed, really. You know, you kind of just rendered everything very nicely. You know, and looking at the photo, I mean, it's pretty spot on, actually. The only thing I would say here is, at least from the photo you sent in, it's hard for me to tell for sure, but I feel like we're just missing a little bit of heat here. Heat in the ear, heat around the nose area. So when we look at the photo, this is just subtle things I'm just mentioning. You know, look how much red and orange is inside of that ear, like a pinkish red. There's a lot of heat there. You know, the skin is very thin there, so you're seeing more blood, stuff like that. You know, you can make it a little, usually the nose and stuff like that is a little bit warmer as well. So I would just try to increase, you know, some of the heat there. Overall, the value structure is really done really well. The dog is done really well. Person done very, very well. Nice color, or edges and stuff here. Maybe a little sharp. It's a little too sharp maybe on some of the fabric and everything. Personally, I would soften some of it, but that's up to you. You know, I think overall it fits with the style. I think it works. Yeah, I mean, everything here that I would say is more of personal preference for me, you know, like just kind of like, well, how would I push this a little bit more? And I think I would soften a lot of edges a little bit. You know, I'd soften some of the hair, I'd soften some of the ear, I'd soften some of the forehead here, more hair. You know, I would soften a lot of things. You know, under the chin here, I'd soften this, soften a lot of this. Because, you know, we want the focal area to be this. That's really the focal point, you know, the contact here. So we want all the sharpness. That's where we want a lot of the sharpness to be. Obviously, a lot of the contrast is there. So I would, like, personally, if I was painting this and if someone gave me this painting and I was just taking it over and finishing it, like, what would I do to this? I would just, yeah, I would just soften some things, you know. But other than that, and yeah, maybe more red in the skin tone. Yeah, that's what I was saying, you know, about the heat. That's kind of what I was mentioning about the color temperature. But overall, it could use some of that. You know, there's not too much of that really. There's not a whole lot of red. Just around the face and the nose, a little pink. But the ear is very red, pink. But once again, maybe you don't want to put that in because you don't want to distract from the contact, you know, from the focal point here. So it's actually done really well, I think. I kind of don't mind the ear the way it's done. I would just soften some of the edges here, slightly. Shadow under chin. Yeah, maybe you could put more shadowing here, just a little bit more. You know, this is a photograph too, so it's hard to tell if this is art always looks different in person, you know, so it's always hard to get these little nuances and stuff. But overall, really, really great work. Really great work. I feel like I was going to say one more thing. I can't remember. Oh, Cubs1 says, how can you tell it's acrylic? Well, I think I remember reading in the email that it was, and I don't remember hearing anyone say that they sent in an oil painting. So I usually get a lot of acrylic paintings that people send in. And the reason I think that is because acrylics it's so easy with acrylics to get hard edges. That's one of the biggest things with acrylics is people get hard edges all the time. And yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I agree, Pamela. She says that the subtle changes in skin tone are so hard to achieve, at least for me, but this is good. Yeah, I agree. I mean, the subtlety they got here, you know, it is more pink up here on the forehead, and, you know, portraits are very, very difficult. Everything is so subtle, especially the lighting of this photo. I mean, that's very challenging, very difficult. Very, very difficult, so... Yeah, it's a little flat, but not too bad, really. You know, the lighting scenario is kind of flat, so can't really expect too much there. So here's the next one. We have looks like Jack Sparrow here. We got a nice drawing. I love how... All right, let's start the timer before I forget. I love the... use of value you have here. You have some different values and stuff, so that's good. And then we got the lights, midtones and shadows and stuff. It's drawn pretty well. I like that the background, you simplified the background, you know, compared to everything else. We know that this is really the focal point, focal area of what's going on here. So that's good. I'm wondering if you have a set of drawing pencils. If not, I would recommend like investing in a set of drawing pencils, because I think you could push this more if you had a few different, like 2 or 3 different pencils to work with rather than just one. I feel, I don't know if that's the case, but I feel like this was done with just one pencil. But that's my interpretation of what I'm looking at here. It seems like it might have just been one pencil. Could be wrong, could be completely wrong. Let's see what else. I feel like maybe, you know, obviously I can't see the reference, I'm not sure, but possibly his eyes are a little too close together. You know, that's just my feeling. I don't know if it's true. Okay, yeah, this was done with one pencil. Okay, yeah, I mean, it's done really well for just one pencil. But yeah, if you really like drawing and want to get into it, I would get like just go to Amazon, get like a little set of drawing pencils. You could really do a lot with just like 3 different kinds of pencils, like a 2B, a 5B, or 6B, you know, and stuff like that. Yeah, the eyes look a little maybe too close together. What ends up happening when you have, for like, especially like a male like this, if the eyes are more closer together, it makes them look more feminine. Yeah, either that, or as someone just stated, maybe the face is too broad. I agree with that. He looks a little bit chubby, but you never know. You know, this is just me looking at it. It's hard to say from the photo and the angle. Honestly, it might just need more shading, like toward the edges of the face, so that it looks like it's going back. So that the face looks like it's going back, rounding. Because since you have the face all one value here, it looks a little flat. So if you take, how do we explain this? You know, the face is more like a cube, you know what I mean? So you have the 2 sides of the head and then the flat part. So we want to kind of separate this flat part coming towards us from the sides of the head, right? So just conceptually shading that, maybe adding just a little more value there as it goes toward the hair. And that'll just give us the idea that it's kind of turning and creating form. It all depends on the lighting as well too, but yeah, that's something I see here. But for one pencil, I mean, you got a lot of different values and stuff here, a lot of little things happening and stuff. It's really cool. I like this little detail of the ship back here, but it kind of gets lost in his hair and stuff. So honestly, I would just leave that ship out. You know, if I were to redraw this thing, like start over or something, I'd probably leave that ship out and not worry about it. Or try to find a view of the ship from the movie or something, or another photo where there's a ship on its own, and maybe like draw it more off to the side so that it's like in the background and not touching him. Just an idea, just complete idea. Oops, sorry folks. Yeah, this sleeve's starting to look a little bit flat here with just how the wrinkles are and stuff, and the outline. You know, be careful with that. It's just starting to look a little cartoony with the way the outlines are and stuff, the way it's outlined, the way it's drawn. And all these wrinkles are going the same direction. So I'd be careful with that. Try to just get rid of some of them or simplify them, or have them going. So when you have things that are all the same width apart like this, and they're going the same angle, it doesn't create any movement. So I'll try to show you here with so when you have like 2 things like this, there's not a lot of movement happening, but as soon as you move one of them, you can see now that there's kind of like this movement created, right? So when it comes to wrinkles, if you have them more like this, so that they're kind of going to a pinch point, you know, you have to study wrinkles a bit more. Sometimes they are like this. I'm not saying you can never do this, but when you have like all of them in a row like that, it kind of becomes monotonous. You know, I'd like make some smaller, some larger, you know, just kind of vary some of the shapes there. you know, play around with that. Let's go back to the critiques. So I hope that helped a little bit. But I understand you're probably working from a photo and stuff like that. You know, just be careful with stuff like that. But I hope that helps. I hope that helps. I don't think the proportions are way off. I you know, maybe a little bit here and there in certain places, but I don't think it's too bad. You know, it starts to look a little flat up here as well. I think a lot of this is just shading. You know, I think it just needs more form, more roundness to with the shading. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think that would probably do it. Okay. Another 3 minutes. Oh, these are from A Yami, I believe. So we have 2 here we can kind of look at. I know I said to send in only 1, but a few people send in 2, and that's fine. We'll just look at them at the same time. So I have just some horse sketches here. I really like this. Thanks for sending these in, by the way. Thanks for everybody for sending these in. I know it was very last minute, but greatly appreciate it. So anyway, what are you guys thinking here? What are your thoughts on this? I like the naturalness of all the hairs and everything going on here. I like the style. I like the sketchiness of it. Yeah, really cool. It's done really well. You know, you have a lot of contrast here. Yeah, I like your style. It's kind of realistic. It's realism without being concerned of you know what I mean? It has a partially cartoony look to it, but also realistic in a way. It's like what would you call that? Like a partial realism or something, you know? It's really cool. I like it. It's very interesting. I like how you shade here. There's a lot of nice shading going with the form and stuff. I really like this part. It's kind of one of my favorite parts here, I think, of this whole drawing. It's right here. Which is really the focal point, looks like, to me. Yeah, I mean, I like the contrast. I like the line work. You know, something to play around with maybe is like strengthening some of the line work here instead of it being one thing all the way around. But, you know, that's personal preference for me. I like having more like thicker line work in some places and thinner. Like this area gets really dark here. So I would just kind of like blend that out slightly as like a thick to thin kind of line. Thick to thin kind of line. You know, I think it's something to play around with if you feel like you want to. But other than that, I like this one. I like what I'm seeing. So this looks like you're just kind of studying different parts of horses and stuff, at least of the face. I really love this little sketch here, this little thing of the ears. I mean, that's really beautiful. I like the structure. Yeah, I really like this. I like how the eye's done. This is drawn really well too. I like this eye. Obviously, this horse is done really well. Of course, yeah. I like, yeah, everything you're doing on this page looks really well done. I like that you're just simplifying things. Like this looks very simple, and you're able to simplify it, break it down to this really small lines, you know, just simple small lines. I like that. But yeah, this is probably my favorite right here, no doubt. I just love the way the ears are and the perspective you have. You know, you have the really nice perspective going on structurally. Yeah, JSA drawing pointed out the nose looks a little bit flat here. I kind of agree. I think it's a little too flat. Maybe I would just kind of round that slightly, a little bit more. But it is kind of, I think it's probably eating on the ground. So Yeah, who knows? Who knows? What's going on, Lane? Thanks for tuning in. Glad to see you here. Why does one of them look like a shark? Which one looks like a shark? I'm not sure what you mean. I think it looks pretty good. Maybe this one. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there. It looks like some kind of reflection in an eye or something. Not 100% sure what was going on there, but you know, obviously she's just playing around with sketches and figuring out things, you know. Drawing these eye in different angles multiple times, you know. I think it's pretty good. Really great work. Let's go on to the next one. Okay, or let's just scroll through all these. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I thought so, Yami. I thought it was meant to be flat on the ground. Yeah. Oh, it's the pupil of the eye. Yeah, that's a weird pupil, that's for sure. All right, let's get into this next one. We got just a few more here, folks, to get through. So, yeah, I think the ones you guys emailed me like an hour ago, I'm gonna have to do those next week. I apologize, or next, you know, the next. We'll wait till episode 130. We'll do some of those. I apologize, but don't think I can get to them today. This one's really cool. So this looks like on toned paper, if I'm not mistaken. What do you guys think? It looks like it's on toned paper. And then they painted like a black thing all the way around it. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell what's going on here with the edges and everything, but this looks like it's on toned paper. Yeah, I really love the reflections in the eyes. I love the line work. I love the furriness. The realism of it. The whiskers. Yeah. I just struggled yesterday with that furriness of that bear, so I understand the pain here to do this. Look at this subtle shadow here. I really like that. Yeah, this thing looks really realistic. I mean, if we shrink this thing down, I mean, it's very realistic looking. Those ocular highlights are really what make this thing stand out to me. Having those ocular highlights in there and little highlights on the nose and stuff. That's what really gives it the realism and really gives it the contrast. You can tell that there's like reflections sitting on top of the surface of the eye. So, and there's shading within the eye, and then those things are sitting on top of that. So that really brings out the realness here, realism here. I'm not sure who drew this. Actually, JSA drawing. I'm not sure who drew this. Yeah, unfortunately, some people send it in and they don't even give me their name or anything, so I'm not really sure. And I know maybe some people don't want their name out there, so you know, we just look at the work. If somebody wants to reveal themselves, then if they're here, then they can. But if not, it's all good. We just look at it for what it is, you know. Yeah, I love this thing, man. I love it's on black and white. I love the tone paper. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. I don't know. The only thing I can think of is like maybe pushing the contrast more or something, you know. But even without that, it still looks really great, you know. I feel like maybe like a little more dark underneath here or something, but I like that it's a subtle kind of shadow with being in the white of the animal, you know. It makes it look realistic. I don't know, guys, what do you think? Maybe it's a little too sharp in this small area here. Just Just watch out for that sharpness. I like the sharpness here is fine. Yeah, I mean, some people do add their name, but you know, I don't know. It just if I can remember whose it is, then I'll say it. But this I don't. I don't actually remember, to be honest. Maybe I'll get better at that in the future. I'll actually have more. You know, I got these photos last night, so I didn't really have much time to prepare to really plan out this critique stream. Unfortunately, I got some of them today actually, so you know, I didn't really have much time at all to plan and get names and all that kind of stuff. But it's all right, man. We'll just work through this stuff. And all right, here's the next one. Looks like we got, how many we got more? We got 3 more. So counting this one, there's 3 more. No worries, Yami. Take care. Have a good one. All right, start the timer. All right. I believe this is acrylic. I'm just guessing. Don't know for sure. Can't remember. But I'm pretty sure it most likely is acrylics. Could be watercolor. Could be watercolor maybe, if they used it more opaquely. Somebody says, Gerg Ferguson says that looks like it could be a stamp. I'm not sure if they're talking about this one or the last one, but either one, yeah, definitely. I like the use of color here. It looks like this is the sun going down. If that's the case, you know, it depends. You know, this is a very interesting lighting scenario. So we have these hills in shadow with this blue purple. That's very realistic. I've seen that in real life. I painted it as the sun was going down. I painted it from life. I've seen it before. So it is possible to have this sun here, all this light, with this being blue. Although this usually happens once the sun goes down over the hills. So if the sun was right here, we'd be seeing a lot of warmth leaking right here over in the atmosphere onto the hills. So we'd be seeing a lot of red, a lot of warmth going on at that moment in time. I think it's a mountain. I don't think it's water. That would be scary. That looks like that would be some wild water if that was water. Here, I'll show you guys. There's an artist. Let me see if I can find it on my Instagram. There's an artist. I just saved one of his paintings. He has a lot of paintings like the ones I just saved. But I'll show you guys what kind of like a sunlight effect looks like, or how we could probably improve this sunlight effect. And I'll show you guys on the. Let me see if this. Let me get the webcam here. So you guys check out this one. So we see how the light of the sun is leaking down, creating this warmth in the atmosphere. So that's what I'm talking about there. And yeah, this guy does really great art from time to time. Really like his stuff. But definitely check that light effect out. So that's something to talk about here with this this painting here. So we can see the difference here. You know, we really would want to leave the sun the white of the paper or white opaque paint, and then branch off around that. You know, I've done this with my sunsets as well. You know, I can show you guys one of those too that I painted from life, actually. Have a good one, Wolfie. Thanks for tuning in. You know, this one is a really great start, no doubt. I mean, you got some of the colors correct. There's some things happening. But having this red and orange be so dark and saturated, unfortunately, it's just not the most realistic thing, which is okay. You know, you don't always have to paint realistic. Yep, I'll try to do that in the future, Lane. I'll try to do that in the future. You know, some people don't give their name, so I don't even know what to. It's hard enough getting people to figure out where to even send me the art, you know. And I say it many, many times. Send me an email to this, and some people still don't know where to send it to, you know. So it's have a good one, Brickitect. You know, it's hard to get that kind of info from people and have it all straight, but thanks, Zinnia. Zinnia asks, bro, do you have a degree in art or something, or did you learn to critique art on your own? Because I'm amazed at your professional perspective. Well, it's just, I don't have an art degree specifically. I have a graphic design degree. But I've been, studying art and paintings for almost 10 years now, and it's just something I'm very passionate about. I've seen a lot of different art. I've created hundreds of paintings myself, probably over 1,000 paintings easily. And it's just something I'm passionate about. So I try to, when I see something like this, I think we could push it a bit more. I'll show you guys real quick. I'll show you guys real quick, one of my favorite sunsets that I've ever done. I painted this one from life. But this will just give you an idea. I mean, every sunset is different, right? Yep, good point, Cubs win. Anonymous is good, and not all paintings have name. Yep, I agree. So this is one I painted from life in about 5 minutes, right? It's a very small painting, but we can see that most of the saturation is right around the sun, and then everything else is very gray. See how gray the sky was? I mean, I was really mashing the colors that were out there. I was out there studying this thing, and these are hills down here, so this is purple. It's kind of hard to see the colors. There we go. There's more of the colors, folks. So the hills are purple, but as it gets closer to the sun, you have the atmosphere here, these layers of atmosphere. And it gets warm where that light is penetrating in the atmosphere. But everything else is very gray, and that's what gives this warm effect to these colors here. They're not even very saturated colors. But it's the sky. If you look at a sunset, the sun is the most saturated thing, and then as it goes farther and farther out, it gets grayer and grayer. Everything is very gray and toned down. But that sun, the only way to really paint the sun like that is to have it be the white of the paper, So when we look at this one, I think that's what we can improve on here is I think just changing the sky a little bit would improve this thing dramatically, making that sun really pop, making the sky lighter, more gray, but still warm. That would change this whole thing dramatically. We wouldn't even have to change much more. Maybe a little bit of red and warmth on these hills, like I showed you guys. But other than that, it's not bad. We have some different layers of things going on here, which is nice. Which is good. We have the darker stuff closer towards us. We have some other trees here. They're all kind of the same height and same size and stuff, so you kind of want to get away from that. You want to make them different sizes, different locations and stuff, trying to lead our eye back into this painting. But I do like that you have the sun here and then you balanced it with these trees on the other side, so that is good compositional element. But yeah, great work, good use of color, but just be careful with that. Just keep practicing, start studying from life, like sunsets and everything, and you'll improve. You know what I mean? I've done many sunsets like these, and it's taken me, I still struggle with them. They're very challenging. Sunsets are one of the hardest thing to paint. Jaden Hill says, I'm a beginner artist and don't know where to start. Well, start by figuring out what you're interested in, what you like to do. Do you like to draw? Do you like to paint? Do you like animals? Do you like landscapes? Do you like portraits? You got to figure out what you're interested in. And if you don't know, then start trying a bunch of different stuff and start narrowing it down. See what you like. Anyway, let's go to the next one. Put the timer on. I think this one is from Enrique. Enrique sent this one in. I remember this one, at least. I don't know if he's still here or not. I know in his time zone it's very late right now, so he usually can't stay the whole time, unfortunately. So, this one's interesting. It looks like, I'm not sure what medium this is. Could be oil pastels, maybe. Some kind of pastel. Could be watercolor. Could be, yeah, I don't know. Could be a lot of different things here. So obviously we got some flowers here. We got some, it looks like there's glass in front of it. So that's kind of changing some of the colors a bit. So the colors a bit. So we can't really focus on the colors that much. I think this patch of really green grass there, I'm not sure why that's there, and the rest of it is very yellowy green. So that kind of stands out to me as I'm not sure what's happening there. It really highlights this flower, obviously. Makes it stand out. You know, this one looks pretty good from far away. Has a nice thumbnail appearance, but it's very chaotic. I'm trying to figure out what's going on for the most part. You know, some of these things are done very well. I like the color. I like the reds here. It looks like there's a lot of depth and distance here. You know, for me, this kind of seems like the focal points here, the focal area, especially this lower flower here. It seems to be where the contrast is. Yeah, what do you guys think of this one? Yeah, I think for something like this, we need more focus. There's a lot of distracting elements in this one. That's how I'm seeing it anyway. Now all the elements are nice, you know, I love these flowers, I love what's going on here. I think maybe we need more contrast. Everything's kind of one particular value almost. I mean, there's lights and darks here, but I think we just need more contrast. We need something. It needs more something. It needs less something and more something. Definitely less, because it kind of gets muddy over here. I'm not sure what's going on here. There's other flowers and things happening. It looks like there's trees here. You know, if these are trees on the side, I'm a bit confused, because that would make these either these are very small trees or these are very giant flowers, right? Because they're on the same plane. You know what I'm saying? So the bottoms of the trees are right here, but the bottoms of the flowers are right here as well. So this flower is half the height of this tree. So that's a very small tree or a very giant flower. I could go and lay inside of that flower. Yeah, I agree, Lane. I agree. She says, I would like to understand the artist more to understand the perspective. Yep, I agree. You know, but all we have, let's say this thing was in a museum, you know, and the artist is dead a couple hundred years ago. We don't even know the artist. It was anonymous. And you know, all we have is the art to look at. So that's what we're doing here, basically. Okay, good point. Zania says, what would you say if that green patch around the flower, this one here, was done intentional to show patch around the flower was intentional to the artist's feelings? Guess I'm asking what your thoughts are between critiquing art and letting emotions show. I'm all about letting emotions show, no doubt. You know, I'm not here to critique anybody's style or anybody's use of color or anything like that. I agree with what you're saying here. I did highlight that I like that it shows the contrast there. The point I was making about this green and how it looks very acidic to me, it just looks very raw, like it's out of the tube or out of, you know, it's not a mixed color. And the reason I pointed it out is because it's not really used anywhere else in the painting. So, I feel it's a little, it kind of loses its harmony, so to speak. You know, if we introduce this green a little bit in other places, he kind of did here. There's a little bit of other blue greens and stuff here, cooler greens, but I feel if we just introduce that in other areas, just a little bit, it doesn't have to distract from this main area, but I'm looking at it from what could improve this compositionally, the colors, the edges, the realism, things like that. That's kind of my approach to this, but I'm all about expression and, you know, emotions and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, you're right. It could be a choice of emotions and stuff like that, no doubt. But when I see this, I'm just seeing it as a piece of art and going, okay, if this was mine, how could I improve it? What am I trying to say? What is the artist trying to say with this one? You know what I mean? That's kind of, I think that's what Lane was kind of getting into, is like, what's the artist trying to say, basically? Like, what is their viewpoint, their perspective on this one? You know, it's very interesting. You know, it's really interesting. It's an interesting piece. I wish Enrique was still around to explain it a bit, because I'm sure he has an interesting, some interesting thoughts on it, but I think he probably already went to bed, unfortunately. But it's okay. You know, we just do what we can. We look at it, and yeah, I agree, Lane. I agree. You know, I would love to see what their intention was or what their idea was, and it would help. It really help the critique, because then I could be like, okay, I could say like, okay, I understand what you're trying to say, and I'd get that from the piece, or I could say like, I'm not really feeling that personally. You know, maybe you could do this to strengthen that idea more or something. You know, just give more of a, you know, I think you know what I'm trying to say. You know, it could help potentially, basically, you know, try to get their idea across more. But it's something I struggle with too, and I'm still working on it. And these streams actually help me improve my own art, you know, because I see all these other pieces of art and I'm like, oh, that works, this didn't work. You know, I think this helps everybody, you know. Yes, SFS Eagle, this is their drawing, made it into the stream. This is the last one, folks, unfortunately. I had 2 other ones, but I'm not gonna be able to get them onto the stream tonight, so we're gonna, sorry Matthias, I apologize, but we'll get to yours on the 1:30 stream. Hope you can be patient. So this one's pretty cool. Looks like a pen and ink sketch. Boom. Start the timer. Yes, Zania, we are critiquing viewers' art. They sent these in yesterday, actually. Normally I announce it like the week, and I give people a little bit of time to send them in, and I kind of forgot to do that, so I just announced it yesterday. So luckily we had like 15 people or something send art in at the last minute. So this looks like some kind of bird, obviously cockatiel or whatever they're called, parrot. I'm not really sure, you know, I'm not a bird connoisseur or anything, but this is pretty cool. Let's take a look at this thing. It's a little bit of a blurry photo, but it's not bad. We'll work with it. It's all good. I like the what am I trying to say? The contrast in line work here. So you have some skinnier, smaller lines. You have some thicker lines, more contrasted. You know, you have more contrast here, dark areas. I like you have different strokes following different kinds of textures, you know, around the eye here and on this part of the, you know, it shows how the feathers kind of change. You know, I think this is the wing here. So that's really cool. I like, you know, that you're showing how the value is showing, and the way the strokes are showing a difference in form, a difference in kind of feathers and texture and everything. The structure of it looks really nice. I mean, the proportions look really good. I mean, I could definitely tell exactly what it is. It doesn't look off at all. Nothing looks too weird about it. I think this is really my favorite part up here. I'll zoom in for you guys. I love the little kind of strokes you have here. You get a little more detailed. Not really detailed, but you just have a little more interest around here with some of the line work and everything. The little nostril and the nose and stuff. Yeah, I think it all really comes together around here, which is the focal point, so that's good. And I think all of this, you know, I love this area too, like the way you did these lines and stuff, having spaced. It works really well. Of course, it looks just like a little quick sketch, of course, you know. And I think it works really nice the way it is, to be honest. Yeah, I'm trying to think of as far as lighting or something. You know, it's hard to really tell if there's what the lighting is. Maybe it's coming from up above, because this area is blank and then his nose is blank. So it looks like we have like lighting coming from maybe up over here. And maybe most of it's lit up. Looks like we have shadow down here possibly, and shadow under the beak. Maybe shadow here on the nose as well. Obviously in the eye is more inset in the head, so we're getting shadow there. Lane says, it doesn't seem to show an understanding of the bird's anatomy, but it looks proportional. Yeah, you know, I don't know. I'd have to see the reference in the photo and stuff, you know, to really see how off it is or not. You know, I don't really have a big understanding of anatomy myself, so especially with birds and stuff, they're covered with all these feathers. It's kind of hard to really figure that out. And since the rest of the bird isn't here, it's hard to tell what, you know, what the rest of the bird would look like and how this head would fit on the bird's body. But overall, what you sent in, I like the line work, I like the contrast, I like what's going on here. Yeah, I'd love to see more. So I hope you send some more stuff in the future. I hope you keep drawing. And yeah, if you have anything like more finished next time, you know, you don't have to, but if you have anything more finished, yeah, it'd be cool to see what you could do. Definitely. Yeah, I know, Lane, I know anatomy is a killer. It's ridiculous how much you have to know. I dove into it a little bit, delved into it a little, I don't know the right word. I looked into it a little bit myself, like human anatomy and stuff like that over the years, and I get so bored with it, man. I get so bored with it because it's just like, ugh. But it does help, though. I mean, it definitely does help knowing, like, okay, you have ribs here, then this is here, and, you know, it just helps the structure overall, but, oh, it's so boring. Like, I like having that bear anatomy yesterday with that bear that I drew yesterday. I'll show you guys. Like, it would have actually helped to know this anatomy of this bear, because then I would have got the proportions a little more correct. But I don't know, when you look at it, I mean, it looks pretty good. Like, it doesn't look that off, but compared to the photo, the bear was actually a little bit taller overall. He wasn't as flat and long. He was more tall. But I did have an understanding, like, okay, the front of the bear and the shoulders and stuff like that. But anatomy would definitely be helpful. But anyway, Well, that concludes the critiques, folks. I'm sorry if you sent yours in late. I'm gonna just we'll move those to the next critique episode. Live stream 130. Today is live stream 120. No worries, Eagle. I mean, it looks pretty good, man, for your first time doing this stuff. You know, it's all just a process. You know, I've done plenty of drawings on these streams that I don't really like. You know, you guys have seen those. You know, there's plenty of that. So plenty of that to go around. So I'm gonna go through these just one more time for anybody that's kind of new or just tuning in. We'll just scroll through these one more time just so everybody can take a look in case you missed any of these. So I think we had a really nice set of work sent in today. It was really cool seeing everybody's use of color, different kinds of style, and I think everybody had something different to kind of work on and improve. You know, it's cool to see. Why is this not working? Come on, go down. Yeah, it's definitely cool to see everybody's style, you know, and what they're focusing on, what they're interested in. Yeah, no problem, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the stream. Thanks everybody for like giving their thoughts as well, and for tuning in. And we're gonna have some fun tomorrow. I'm watercolor painting a little campfire, a little bonfire thing. So I thought it'd be a cool subject. You know, it's very dark and very warm, so it should be pretty cool. Yeah, this is some really great work. I think everybody did pretty darn good today. We had a lot of good work sent in. You know, we all always have something to improve here and there, but overall, really great work today that was sent in. So thanks everyone. It's glad to see so many different people tuning in and sending stuff in, man. And this was only like 15 people. I mean, imagine if everybody sent something in. I mean, it's like there's probably so much, you know. Yes, good. This is a parakeet. That's right, parakeet. I forgot about that one. That's a good one. So anyway, be sure to check out my website, folks, SchaeferFineArt.com. Forgot to say that during the stream. Got some drawings and stuff like the ones you saw today on the stream, and some paintings as well. Also, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And I also have a support page you can check out, other links and all that kind of stuff on my website as well. That, like I said, that's all on my website, SchaeferFineArt.com. And yeah, tomorrow we're going to be doing a little bonfire. Let me see if I can find that photo. I'll show you guys right now real quick. Give me 1 second here. See if we can change the I'm going to change the reference photo if I can find it. That way you guys can see what I'll be painting tomorrow. Here we go. Boom. And so there we go. This is going to be my painting tomorrow, folks. I'm going to do a small painting of this. Probably like, what size? Probably like this size, like a 6x8. Figure I'll just do like a small little fun sketch of this. We'll give it a shot. So anyway, guys, Zinnia asks, is that where we can share our work for future live streams? Yeah, you just send me an email. Here, I'll show you real quick. Boom. So this is how you can share for future live streams. You just send one photo of your artwork to info@SchaeferFineArt.com. You can find my email on my website. But yeah, just send me a direct email to info@SchaeferFineArt.com and just let me know that it's for critique episode 130, you know, critique 130. Yeah, and that's how you can send it to me. But yeah, I'm excited for this little campfire tomorrow, folks. Hopefully I can pull it off. It's going to be very difficult with watercolor because it's so dark, but we'll see. Yeah, Lane, only one, because we always have, if everybody gave two, it'd be like, oh, it'd be so much to go through. It would take me like 5 hours. This one already took me, how long have I been on? An hour and something minutes. Hour and 36 minutes. So anyway, hope you found this helpful, and I'll see you guys on the next one tomorrow. And Essie says, can't wait for tomorrow. Looks interesting. I agree. I definitely agree. I can't wait for tomorrow too. It's Friday. So, all right, folks. I will see you on the next one. Peace.